Um, and really kind of the story in general is John Cena's retirement tour, starting with a heel turn and then kind of petering out to his loss with Gunther. How did you feel? I know we did a whole shout out last week for anyone who was listening, but it is still one of those moments of the year. And to get your perspective on how you thought, obviously when he came out and said, look, I have these dates, and then he just does the random heel turn, and then, the Travis Scott thing. Where does this sit in your year?
The heel turn, which I had actually predicted the heel turn on my podcast during Elimination Chamber, and everybody thought I was like, dude, Cena will never turn heel. I'm like, it's coming. It's coming. It's The Rock's involved. It's gonna happen. And even though I knew it was coming, my jaw hit the floor when it happened. Because again, it should have probably happened 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But the fact that it happened, it's up there in the top 3 moments of all time, and not just WWE, but wrestling in general. You never saw it. It's up there with the Hulk Hogan turn. Nobody saw it coming either.
I would agree. And again, like, we called it. We said it's probably going to happen. You kind of knew it was going to happen. But then when it actually happens, I think that's when the glass broke for everybody. It was like, oh my God, that actually happened, right? And he said, like, it's up there with the Hulk Hogan heel turn, obviously, but it's also up there with, like, Undertaker losing at WrestleMania, where you're like, he's not going to lose. It's those moments that, like, live. It's like, where were you when this happened? I can clearly remember watching that pay-per-view, and it's more ingrained in my mind than being at SummerSlam or, even at WrestleMania, where, there are those moments where, yeah, you remember some of it, but you don't remember most of it. But that specifically will stick with people for all time.
When I saw that look on Cena's face, and then they cut to The Rock and he does the slicing of the throat, I'm like, dude, it's about to go. We had a little party going on, but dude, it's about to go down. It's about to go down. And it happens, and I'm like, dude,
whoa,
yes, yeah. Finally.
But yeah, look, you said it should have happened about 10 years ago, and that would have made sense, because, like, one of the gaps, before we went on air, we were talking a little bit about gaps in wrestling. That's when a lot of people left, because they were like, oh, I just can't handle John Cena or being a good guy. That's where you had the super Cena thing. If that had happened 10 years ago, and this is where I'm going with this, do you think it would have been as impactful, or do you think it would have been just another heel turn?
I don't think it would have been as impactful versus what happened this year. Now, if they did it right, it could have been, but at that time, it's like, why would he turn heel? There's no reason. This year, he had a reason. He wanted number 17. He wanted to break the record. It made sense to do it this year. He'll do anything he can to get number 17. And that includes break the character that he's built for the past 20 plus years and become the bad guy. And for a couple of weeks, he played a really good bad guy. And then it just kind of soured. I'm like, ugh, this is not what I was. But the actual event was phenomenal. Nothing compares. But it fizzled out.
Absolutely. And why do you think it fizzled out? Like, personally, well, we kind of know why. There's the backstage thing where it wasn't supposed to happen. Cody was supposed to be the heel, and he didn't want to do it, and Cena's like, yeah, I'll do it, why not? Which is weird. I kind of wish I could know this about wrestling sometimes, where you're like, there had to be a real reason for it. He's like, no, they all do it, and it's just like, it sounds like someone taking an extra shift in a Walmart or something, where it's just like, yeah, sure, I'm available, right? But yeah, I wish. Do you think that's why it fizzled out, or was it because the matches were great? His match Cody. Well, the WrestleMania match Cody was not good, but the SummerSlam match was very, very good. Now, obviously, he was a face there, but his match with Cena and Punk, that was a phenomenal match. Speaking of phenomenal, his match with AJ Styles was incredible. The actual matches he was doing at these shows were actually very, very good. But when it came to actually being a heel, it soured. And it's weird because there were some good moments. I really like the CM Punk Word Life thing where he came out dressed as...
That was funny. Yeah.
That was funny. And then Cena doing his own pipe bomb promo. That was pretty cool as well. I did have this sense of, yeah, this is a bit different. But I mean, if I was looking back, and I know why he didn't do it, because he said, "Oh well, I wrote this song and these are my words," blah blah blah. But I think changing the gear, changing the song, having a different approach probably would have worked. But again, like it was on that ticking clock, right? He only had certain amount of appearances, so it's like you paint yourself into a corner, and it probably was like, right, I have to get number 7 in, I have to get being heel out of the way, and then also I have to win the IC belt. So at a certain point, it was almost like clicking off, the to-do list. And that's kind of what it felt like to me. Even though those moments were pretty cool, I really did like when he won the IC belt. That match was also very good too. But it was like, oh, well, of course you were going to win it. It's not going to. You're not going to win it well on the way out. And it does lend credence to this as well, Christopher. I think it's going to be. I don't think Cena will be one of those wrestlers that comes back to West. No. I really do believe.
He'll do, so I don't think he's coming back anytime soon.
Yeah, I do really believe that when he says he's done, like, that's it. I don't think you'll have like a Shawn Michaels Triple H thing in Saudi at some point. He doesn't want it. He doesn't need it. It's just kind of like, nah, he is done. But a weird year to start things off. And jumping back a little bit though, even before all that went down, I had to go back to the very start of the year. What happened with The Rock? The Rock shows up at the Netflix debut, thanks Cody Rhodes. He hasn't shaved. He looks kind of disheveled, and he puts Cody over, and then he wants a soul like 2 weeks later, and obviously that leads to the heel turn. What was that like for you?
I felt like The Rock, if you're going to be involved in a heel turn or a story like that, you need to be there more than once a year. I felt like The Rock needed the Rock needed to be the puppeteer. Had The Rock been there, I think the heel turn would have been better. If you've got the puppet you have the puppet, who is John Cena, and you have the puppet master, which is The Rock, pulling the strings. And then finally, if you're gonna go to make him a face again, it's where John's like, well, wait a minute, hold on, this is not exactly what he did, but do it later on, and he turns on The Rock and he beats the final boss and becomes himself again. But The Rock, and they brought in The Rock just for the publicity and for the ratings, which is what it's really all about. But it's just it's poor storytelling.
Yes, and it hampers the story because like there was no real incentive. Like obviously the biggest case in point of this is at WrestleMania when Travis Scott walks out and everybody's like, yeah, okay, right, no one cares. Where's The Rock? And there was that sense where it was like, all right, nobody cares about you. Where's The Rock? And he just never showed up. And it was this, and it's one of those weird moments as well where you'll still remember it because you don't remember the win. You don't really remember Cena pinning Cody. You remember thinking, yeah, The Rock's going to come out now anytime and they're going to wrap this story up. It's going to make some sort of sense. And it just didn't.
Yeah.
It was very weird. It was very, very weird. The Rock has a lot to answer for this year being so truly bizarre. There hasn't been a time in WWE, and that's what I was saying, the vibe check is very different with this TKO Netflix kind of stuff because there's a lot of stuff that happened this year that would never have happened. We're in uncharted territory. But obviously, there isn't one guy. You wanted everything. It's run through committee, so it's a bit strange. But yeah, look, so along with that as well, the AAA announcement was obviously a big one this year for me. Have you any exposure to AAA?
Just what I've seen on WWE and the occasional YouTube video that I've caught. I really haven't caught a whole lot, but I need to be better at that this coming year.
But like it is earth-shattering really when you think about it because WWE bought a product that would never have been touched before. Obviously with, the Forbidden Door, obviously the pay-per-view and the actual concept getting smaller and smaller now. WWE working with TNA, working with, owning AAA. It kind of sets a lot of very interesting things in play going into 2026. And one of them really is kind of who's the top guy in WWE right now? That's a question I have because we don't have, like, you could say Cody, but before you get there, who do you think can carry this company going forward, and what people